Did you know there's a country in Africa that was never colonized by a European power? A land where ancient kings claimed descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, where the Ark of the Covenant is said to rest, and where coffee was first discovered. This isn't a fantasy novel. This is the incredible, true story of Ethiopia. Forget everything you think you know, because we're about to journey through 3,000 years of history, uncovering a civilization that has stood the test of time, shaped its own destiny, and left an indelible mark on the world. Our story begins in the misty highlands of northeast Africa, around the 8th century BC. Here, a powerful kingdom emerged. While much of their history is still shrouded in mystery, we know they were master builders and traders, with strong connections to southern Arabia. Their legacy can still be seen today in the magnificent ruins at Haile, where a towering temple stands as a silent testament to their ingenuity. But doubt was just the beginning. As one kingdom faded, another rose to take its place, and this one would change the course of history. Welcome to the Kingdom of Aksum. Emerging around the 1st century AD, Aksum was a powerhouse of the ancient world. Perfectly positioned along the Red Sea trade routes, its port city of Adulis became a bustling hub connecting the Remang Empire with the riches of India and beyond. Gold, ivory, spices, and exotic animals flowed through its markets. The Aksumites weren't just traders. They were innovators. They developed their own unique script, Ge'ez, which is still used in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church today. And they minted their own coins, a clear sign of their sovereignty and economic might. The most iconic symbols of Aksum are the giant stelae or obelisks that pierce the sky. Carved from single blocks of granite, these massive towers were funeral markers for the kingdom's rulers. The largest, the Great Stelae, would have stood over 33 meters tall and weighed over 500 tons, making it one of the largest single-piece stones ever quarried and erected in the ancient world. Though it fell and broke centuries ago, its ambition speaks volumes about the power and skill of the Aksumite civilization. But the most profound change in Aksum came in the 4th century under King Ezana. According to tradition, a young Christian scholar from Tyre named Frumentius was shipwrecked on the coast and brought to the royal court. He gained the king's trust and eventually converted him to Christianity. Ezana declared Christianity the state religion, making Aksum one of the very first Christian kingdoms in the world, even before the Remang Empire officially adopted the faith. This decision would fundamentally shape Ethiopia's identity for millennia to come. As the centuries passed, Aksum's power began to wane. A rise of Islam in the 7th century shifted trade routes away from the Red Sea, isolating the Christian kingdom. But this isolation didn't lead to collapse. It led to transformation. The center of power moved south, deeper into the rugged highlands. This period is often called Ethiopia's Dark Ages, but it was a time of immense creativity and resilience. Out of this era of isolation emerged the Adwa dynasty, and one Zagwe king, in particular, left behind a legacy that defies belief: King Lalibela. In the 12th century, he sought to build a new Jerusalem in the heart of Ethiopia. But he didn't build it with bricks and mortar. Instead, he had his workers carve it directly out of the living volcanic rock. 11 magnificent churches, chiseled down into the earth, connected by a maze of tunnels and trenches. The most famous, Bet Georgis, or the Church of St. George, is a perfect monolith in the shape of a cross, a masterpiece of rock-hewn architecture. To this day, these churches are active sites of worship, drawing pilgrims from all over the world. They are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a breathtaking testament to faith and engineering. Following the Zagwe dynasty, a new line of rulers came to power who claimed direct lineage from the ancient Aksumite kings, and through them from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. This was the Solomonic dynasty, which would rule Ethiopia for over 700 years, from 1270 until 1974. This dynasty re-established and solidified the narrative of a sacred lineage, a story deeply woven into the fabric of Ethiopian identity, most famously chronicled in the epic Kebra Nagast, or The Glory of Kings. The Solomonic era was a time of both glory and struggle. The medieval Ethiopian Empire expanded its territory, produced stunning illuminated manuscripts, and developed a complex feudal system. However, it also faced significant challenges. In the 16th century, a devastating war with the neighboring Adal Sultanate, led by the charismatic Imam Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi, known as the Left-Handed, brought the empire to the brink of collapse. With the help of a small Portuguese expeditionary force, an early example of Christian-Muslim proxy wars in the region, Ethiopia managed to survive, but the conflict left deep scars on the landscape and the people. As the world entered the modern age, Ethiopia found itself in a precarious position. The scramble for Africa began in the late 19th century, as European powers carved up the continent among themselves. Italy, a newly unified nation eager for its own colonial empire, set its sights on Ethiopia. In 1896, a massive Italian force, equipped with modern artillery and rifles, marched inland, confident of an easy victory. They were met at a town called Adwa by a vast Ethiopian army, summoned from every corner of the empire by Emperor Menelik II and his brilliant wife, Empress Tetu Betru. The Ethiopians were not a disorganized rabble. They were a determined and well-led force, armed with rifles they had strategically purchased from the Europeans themselves. On March 1, 1896, in a stunning turn of events, the Ethiopian army decisively defeated the Italians. The Battle of Adwa was a watershed moment. It was a resounding victory of an African nation against a European colonial power, and it sent shockwaves across the globe. Ethiopia secured its sovereignty and became a beacon of hope and inspiration for black people and anti-colonial movements everywhere. While the rest of Africa fell under European rule, Ethiopia stood alone, a proud, independent nation. Ethiopia's independence was challenged again in 1935 when Benito Mussolini's fascist Italy, seeking to avenge the humiliation of Adwa, invaded with overwhelming force, using chemical weapons against soldiers and civilians. Emperor Haile Selassie, a descendant of the Solomonic line, was forced into exile. He traveled to the League of Nations in Geneva and delivered a powerful, prophetic speech, warning the world that if they failed to act against this aggression, they would be next. His words went unheeded, and the world soon plunged into World War II. But after a 5-year occupation, with the help of British forces and Ethiopian patriots, known as the Arbegnik, Ethiopia was liberated in 1941, once again reclaiming its sovereignty. Haile Selassie returned to the throne and became a major figure on the world stage. He was a founding member of the United Nations and the Organization of African Unity. For many in the Rastafari movement, which had emerged in Jamaica in the 1930s, Selassie was seen as a messianic figure, the fulfillment of a prophecy. His rule, however, was not without its problems. At home, his autocratic style and the slow pace of modernization led to growing discontent, exacerbated by a devastating famine in the 1970s. In 1974, a military coup led by a committee of soldiers known as the Derg overthrew the ancient monarchy, ending 3,000 years of imperial rule. Emperor Haile Selassie was imprisoned and died under mysterious circumstances a year later. The Derg, led by Mengistu Haile Mariam, established a brutal communist-style dictatorship. This period, known as the Red Terror, was marked by widespread political purges, civil war, and another catastrophic famine in the 1980s that captured the world's attention. After 17 years of brutal conflict, the Derg was finally overthrown in 1991 by a coalition of rebel forces. This ushered in a new era, with a new constitution and a federal system of government. Since then, Ethiopia has been on a complex and often challenging path. It has experienced remarkable economic growth, becoming one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. It has lifted millions out of poverty and made significant strides in infrastructure and development. However, it continues to grapple with deep-seated ethnic tensions, political challenges, and regional conflicts. From the stele of Aksum to the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, from the victory at Adwa to the complexities of the 21st century, the story of Ethiopia is one of extraordinary resilience, unwavering faith, and fierce independence. It is a history that was not written by outsiders, but by Ethiopians themselves. A land of ancient traditions and modern ambitions, a country that has always walked its own path. Its history is a vital part of the human story, and a powerful reminder that empires rise and fall, but the spirit of a people can endure forever. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through Ethiopia's incredible past. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical adventure. Let us know in the comments what part of Ethiopian history amazed you the most. Until next time, stay curious.